Welcome to my Asshole Podcast. Let's get into it. Today is Thursday. We got a beautiful Thursday episode for you guys. It is A Court of Thorns and Roses Day, and we have chapters 23 and 24 on deck for today. Can't wait to get into that. The book's been getting juicy. It's finally getting a spicy on there. So, let's get into that. But before we do, we have a thread to go through. So let's go ahead and get through this thread, and we will hop into our book right after. Today's thread is what happened between you and your ex-best friend that caused the friendship to end. So let's see why you guys are not friends anymore. All right. I was always there for him at the drop of a hat, helped him when his car broke down out of state, drove there to tow his car back over 100 miles, helped him move multiple times, helped him work on his car for nothing more than a quick toke off the bowl in a jam sesh. Then one day I had to move, asked him for some help, and he said, "That's not really how I want to spend my Saturday." We're still buddies, but not friends. Now, anytime he asked me for help, I say, "That's not really how I want to spend my day." Damn. Yo, that's fucked up. When you're willing to go above and beyond for somebody and they're just like, nah, that's not really how I pictured today going. Like, yo, I'm surprised you're still like cool with him. I wouldn't. I'd be like, fuck you, dude. Damn. She had her boyfriend tell us that she passed from COVID when she actually just ran away with him until 4 months later she shows back up because they broke up. That's crazy. Imagine thinking that your friend died and then she just shows back up 4 months later and she's like, "Oh, no, yeah, I actually wasn't dead. I just ran away with my boyfriend, but since we broke up, hey, I'm back." Like, what? How? Bitch, I mourned for you? You know how sad I was for you? Like, bro, that's fucked up. That's immensely fucked up. Damn. That's not cool, man. That's not cool. I thought to myself, I always message first. I wonder how long it will be before they text me. Well, sometimes you feel that way. I mean, I guess if one person's putting in more effort than the other, it's just a sign that, you know what, they're not really your friend or they're not really into you like that, That's a tough pill to swallow a lot of times for people, but it's something where you got to just be like, hey, give them that same energy back and fuck it, My ex-best friend started dating my ex. It was all fine until I found out they had feelings for each other while we were still together. Oh. The trust was shattered. We tried to patch things up, but now the dynamic was never the same and we slowly drifted apart. It's crazy how something that felt like it would last forever ended so suddenly. Oh my, I don't understand how people could be friends with somebody and they're attracted to their friend's partner. I have never once been attracted to my friend's partner. I've always looked at my friend's partners as like family members almost. It's been a thing where it's just like, yo, that's my boy, practically my brother, my cousin, whatever. And his girl, I look at it like, dude, you're just an extension of the family. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't see you sexually. It's just, I've never been in that position. And that's so odd to me, that how people can see like they're friends, they're long-term friends, and they see their partner and they think, damn, I would love to fuck that girl. Like, what? Like, that's not being a friend, bro. That's being a menace and a backstabber. Like, yo, I will never understand that. Never understand it. We hadn't talked in quite a while, so I was happy when she asked to get together for tea. She then tried to sell me an alarm system. What? She looked at it like, oh, you're not really my friend, but you can help me out with my job. Damn. Besties for 10 years. Then one day I started getting messages from a person with an unknown number. The situation progressed and ended up getting really scary. The person I knew the person knew where I lived, what car I drove, where I worked, etc. Then they started texting me photos of myself taken without my knowledge. I started getting really frightened and told my friend I was going to go to the police after this kept happening. Then I got a selfie from that number of my friend laughing. It was her all along pretending to be a stalker. She felt blindsided and I ended the friendship afterwards. Look. If I'm being honest with you, if a friend of 10 years, mind you, did some shit like this, I think I would just laugh. I think I would laugh it off and I'd be like, dude, you fucking got me. You scared the absolute shit out of me. Fuck you, but you're still my friend. You know what I mean? Like, now, if it was a thing where you did the whole catfish thing where I'm thinking like I'm dating some beautiful girl and you know what I mean, I'm all excited about this girl and whatnot, I find out it's you, then yeah, that would probably be something where I'm like, damn, that's kind of fucked up. Why would you know what I mean, do something like that to me? But I mean, if you're just doing this and you do it for maybe a couple weeks to a month, I would be freaked out and like, what the fuck is going on, blah, blah, blah. But then I find out it's you. I don't know. I probably would just be like, fuck you. You're annoying. I hate you. But, and then I would let it go. And it's funny. It's a joke after that. We'd laugh about it. But I don't know. I wouldn't end my friendship for that. But hey, I guess it's different. She started dating a crazy cokehead and moved himself into her house like a day. Into her house on like day 3. Okay, stole money from her, love bombed and gaslit her, gave her herpes, and then threw parties for all his friends on her credit card. Oh my god. I was pregnant and living in her basement suite, and he kept threatening to kill my husband and did everything he could to get rid of us. He ended up succeeding and he ended up succeeding and we left in the middle of the night and she stayed with him until he got her pregnant and beat her until she lost the baby. Yo, we had spent months trying to get her to get rid of him, only for her to keep taking him back. In the end, she spent about $40,000, or he ended up spending about $40,000 of her money and destroying her life. Yeah, there's no way I'd be friends with somebody like that after a while, because it's one of those things where it's like, I'm trying to help you, but you don't want to be helped, and that sucks. That really sucks. It's one of those things where it's just like, you don't want to be helped, and I want to help you, but like I say, you just don't want to be helped, and that is probably the toughest thing about it. Oh man, that's gotta suck, dude. That's gotta suck. Damn. Hey, it is what it is. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Like, you can warn them and tell them, but they're gonna do what they're gonna do at the end of the day. Dang. All right, I helped him beat an addiction to Oxycontin and got him back into soccer, which he was an absolute phenom at. He almost got a full scholarship to a good college 2 years after we graduated high school. Yes, he was that good. And after a disappointing college career of 3 different colleges, he started a futsal gym, I don't know what that is, that I helped all the time at training kids. He got into a bad financial situation because he was still drinking and smoking while he was living in the gym and barely making it. I helped him pay his rent on the place once to keep his dream going. One night we were leaving the gym and my truck wouldn't start. I live in Tornado Alley and the storm that evening was getting crazy. My pregnant wife and 2 other children were at home and in bed, and it took me over an hour to convince him to finally give me a ride. He had to get up early, so it was super inconvenient. Early to him is 8:30 a.m. Dang, that's crazy. Anyways, he's a selfish asshole, always was, but I loved him because we had been best friends since we were 8. Tired hanging with him recently after 3 to 4 years, and it was just never materialized. I'm actually grateful for that. Damn. Dude, I can't understand. Like, if a friend needed me, like, I have 2 long-term ride or die friends that I've known for a decade plus, probably 15 years plus. There is nothing I wouldn't do for those guys. You know, if they hit me up and was just like, yo, I'm stuck on the, you know what I mean, the side of the freeway, man. I need some help, blah, blah, blah. I'd be like, yo, I got you. I'm going to see what I can do. I'll drive down there, whatever. Like, there is nothing I wouldn't do to help them out because they're my homies. You know what I mean? And it's just like, what? Like, this has been your friend forever. Like, he said they were friends since they were 8 years old, and you can't just help him out by picking him up and taking him home. Yeah, like, dude. Or helping him out by getting his car towed or something. Like, that's crazy to me. That's just crazy to me. The fact that, you're not willing to help out like a decade plus long friend. Man, that's just wild to me. All right, what happened between you and your ex-best friend, and why did it end? I wouldn't say that the friendship is over, but it has been a couple of years. He's probably occasionally on Reddit, but I don't care. One of my best friends, and definitely my oldest friend, got married. Wow. He talked about the wedding for months and months, and then he excluded me from being in the wedding. I don't really care. That wasn't the part of his wedding, but as someone's oldest friend that he grew up with, it seemed odd, and so I asked him about it, and he said he would talk with me about it, but he kept putting it off. And eventually, I just didn't come to his wedding. He chickened out from all the simple conversation, and he chose all of his other friends he met in college over me. Damn. Without any explanation, it was disappointing, and I'm not really that upset, but I don't put up with it. Or put up with being treated like that. If you happen to be reading this, or call me or text me. We're not enemies and I don't hate you. I'm just confused and disappointed and would appreciate the conversation you said you were going to have with me. Dude, that sucks. Like, look, I get it. Growing, meeting new people, being friends with new people, but never forget your day ones. And that's one thing. Like, even my two friends that I just mentioned, I've known these guys 10, 15 years plus. Those guys, yeah, they have other friends. Yeah, they have people that they hang out with and are close with and stuff like that. But they've never forgot me. You know what I mean? They've never sat there and just been like, oh, yeah, what's up, man? I remember you. They're like, oh, what's up? Even if I don't talk to them for like a month, 2 months, whatever. It's like we're picking up right where we left off. You know what I mean? And I love those kind of like friendships. I love those kind of, relationships and bonds that you have with people. Just because you grow and you meet other people doesn't mean that you should, get rid of your day one homies. Like, what? I get it. You grow. You know what I mean? You become a different person. You find out new things about yourself, but you should never like leave your day ones behind. That's wild, man. That's just crazy to me. All right. Best friend of 20 years went no contact with me after she got married. Wow. I was there for her when she was graped by her dad. Oh.
Bruh.
Oh. Dude, how are you gonna how is somebody gonna be there for you with something like that, and then you just are like, oh, fuck off, we're not friends anymore because you got married? That's big. That's huge. You know what I mean? Like, yo, somebody looking out for you like that? Okay. When she gave birth to all three of her kids, I was there. When her youngest kid was taken by DFCS, I think that's some sort of child protective service, because her boyfriend left a belt buckle shaped bruise on him. I was there for every time some jackass broke her heart. Hell, at her wedding, I kept her kids occupied for hours so she could get prepared in peace. After the wedding was over, she stopped calling and texting, wouldn't respond to texts or calls I sent her. Figured it was just her being in the honeymoon phase and I'd eventually get to hear from her. Ran into her 3 weeks later. She acted like I was a complete stranger, that I was acting like a creep instead of her best friend for 20 years. Wow, that was 2018. She hasn't tried to contact me in 6 years. I mean, just the fact that you were there for her through the whole grape thing with her dad, that is crazy. That right there would let me know that you're a long-term friend. You know? Like, that's wild. Like, for me, I've been the one in that situation where, you know what I mean, I almost wanted to like end myself type deal, you know. And my friend, he got me out of that, and because of that, I was like, this dude is going to be a long-term friend of mine, you know what I mean. And I'm still friends with that guy till today. He and I, you know, are so busy with life. He's got like 2 kids and dealing with, you know, the stress of all this other stuff. And so, you know, I don't talk to him very often, but I always hit that dude up. You know what I mean? We're the type, like I said, where it's like we don't talk for a while, but then it's just like, bam. But it's in those moments that you know when a person is truly your friend, and you should cherish that person forever, regardless. You know, because they were there for you in the most darkest moment of your life. They could have just been like, sorry about that. You know, I can't help you. But no, they were there for you. And you acted like that. Damn. That's rough. That's rough. 20 years of a friendship and you just threw that away just because you got married? Damn. Oh. All right. Let's see. Okay, I honestly wish I knew, because if it turned out to be something I had done or said, I could have apologized and we would have talked about it, and we would still be in touch and very tight. We had a pretty solid friendship for almost 20 years. I mean, we were each other's best man. We had the same hobbies, like the same nerdy topics, played D&D monthly, and so many other fun outings. Days at Disneyland were always more fun with him there. And then one day he stopped returning my calls, stopped answering letters. Yes, before emails. I'm that old. His wife and I still talked, worked at the same company, but messages passed along through her were ignored. I've attempted numerous times to reach out, especially on his birthday. I still send him a card every year, give him a little recap of what's been going on in my life, and asked him to get back to me when he's ready. I've pretty much resigned resigned myself that he'll not reach out again, but hope springs eternal. Yeah, dang. That must be tough. Like, you have a buddy that you've just been kicking it with for so long, and then they just disappear on you. I wonder what happened. Damn. You know, I really do. I wonder what happened. I wonder why he just dropped you like that. You know, and you don't even know why. You know, you're trying to figure it out. You're like, yo, what did I do? And you send him a card every year. You are still keeping in touch, you know, with his wife. Like, hey, you know, if you see him, or, you know, if you get a chance, just tell him I said hi. Tell him, you know, hit me up. Like, I'd love to talk to him. And he ignores that too. Like, dang, that's tough, man. That is tough. I'm going to do 2 more off this thread, and then we'll get into our chapters. But if you gotten this far in the episode, though, definitely comment a story of you losing a friend, or, you know, a time that you couldn't be friends with somebody anymore. You know, let me know. All right, let's get into our second to last one for this thread. Literally no idea. We met in college in Texas, friends for years. I moved to Colorado. She moved to Ireland and then Japan. I visit her in both countries. We always made time to video chat each week or so, but then I got harder / less important for her to chat, and then she just stopped talking to me altogether. I haven't spoken to her in years now. It makes me sad when I think about her. I hope she's doing well. She is a good person. I do miss her, though. Damn. Oh, that sucks. I wonder if it's because, you know, she might have met a man out there, and, you know, she's just like, nah, I'd rather spend time chatting with my mans and get some penis instead of trying to video chat you and talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, whoa. And that's got to be a tough thing. You know what I mean? When, like, your best friend moves away and you guys still try to make it work, but eventually it gets to a point where it's just like, I can't do this anymore, you know, and they stop talking to you. It's just, Oh, that hurts. Oh, that hurts. All right, this is going to be our last one for today's thread. What happened between you and your ex-best friend, and how did it end? Oh, geez, I had a really good friend who married a meth addict. God damn. That strained our relationship. He died in a horrific vehicle accident along with two of his friends while they were on the way home from a strip club and were intoxicated. All three of them had young children and wives at home. Next, she got into a relationship with a man old enough to be her grandpa. He was in leadership in a trashy racist biker gang. He basically got with her and then told her that he wanted to be both her and his ex-wife. Wait, what? He basically got with her and then told her that he wanted to be with both her and his ex-wife. Oh, okay. And she chose to stay. Damn. I just couldn't after that. Last I heard, she finally left him in the lifestyle after he was in a severe motorcycle accident and expected her to provide financially and be his caregiver. I wish her well, but our lives simply just went in different directions. Facts. Again, that's another one of those, you can lead that horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Yeah, that is wild. Damn. And then on top of that, I'm kind of like, girl, you kind of a black widow, man. Like, how in the hell did homeboy get into a car accident? He died. And then this next dude gets into a car accident. Like, girl, what are you doing? You is some kind of bad juju. I ain't going to lie to you, man. God damn. That's a little wild if I'm being honest with you. But hey, again, all you can do is hope them the best and let them make the bad decisions that they're going to make. That girl is crazy. But that's going to go ahead and be today's thread, man. Hope you guys enjoyed that thread. Again, like I said, if you guys have a story you would like to share in the comments, please do. I'd love to hear it. But that's going to go ahead and be the end of that thread. Before we hop into the book, you know what I got to do? I got to do the announcements. And I know this is not you guys' favorite part of the show. I know, but I'm going to get through them as fast as I can, okay? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Patreon.com/MyLastPodcast. Get an exclusive episode every single Friday and an entire year of back catalog content for you is just waiting there. All right? The juiciest of stories as well as threads are over there. All uncensored, all that good stuff. So get on over there. Check that out. They're ad-free, all that good stuff. All right, $3 a month gets you all of that, as well as being able to send in your scenario to be featured on Tuesday and Sunday shows. Thank you guys so much for all the support. And if you would like to help us even more on the free 99 side of things, all right, then go ahead and follow us on YouTube, TikTok, as well as Instagram. Helps out a lot. I appreciate all of that. If you're an audio listener, downloading and rating this podcast 5 stars helps out a lot. I do appreciate all of the support that you guys show. I love you guys so much. But without further ado, let's get into what y'all all been waiting for, and that is chapter 23 and 24 of The Court of Thorns and Roses. It's been getting a little juicy. Our girl is just like, I want stuff. Fuck, homeboy. Oh, man. She was just like, my God, I want this man in and out of my vagine. It's crazy, but let's get into it. All right. Chapter 23.
Chapter 23. The next afternoon, I lay on my back in the grass, savoring the warmth of the sunshine filtering through the canopy of leaves, noting how I might incorporate it into my next painting. Lucian, claiming that he had miserable emissary business to attend to, had left Tamlin and me to our own devices, and the High Lord had taken me to yet another beautiful spot in his enchanted forest. But there were no enchantments here, no pools of starlight, no rainbow waterfalls. It was just a grassy glen watched over by a weeping willow, with a clear brook running through it. We lounged in comfortable silence, and I glanced at Tamlin, who dozed beside me. His golden hair and mask glistened bright against the emerald carpet. The delicate arch of his pointed ears made me pause. He opened an eye and smiled lazily at me. That willow's singing always puts me to sleep. The what of what? I said, propping myself on my elbows to stare at the tree above us. Tamlin pointed toward the willow. The branches sighed as they moved in the breeze. It sings. I suppose it sings war camp limericks, too? He smiled and half sat up, twisting to look at me. You're human, he said, and I rolled my eyes. Your senses are still sealed off from everything. I made a face. Just another of my many shortcomings. But the word shortcomings had somehow stopped finding its mark. He plucked a strand of grass from my hair. Heat radiated from my face as his fingers grazed my cheek. I could make you able to see it, he said. His fingers lingered at the end of my braid, twirling the curl of hair around. See my world, hear it, smell it. My breathing became shallow as he sat up. Taste it. His eyes flicked to the fading bruise on my neck. How? I asked, heat blooming as he crouched before me. Every gift comes with a price. I frowned, and he grinned. A kiss. Absolutely not. But my blood raced, and I had to clench my hands in the grass to keep from touching him. Don't you think it puts me at a disadvantage to not be able to see all this? I'm one of the High Fae. We don't give anything without gaining something from it. To my own surprise, I said, Fine. He blinked, probably expecting me to have fought a little harder. I hid my smile and sat up so that I faced him, our knees touching as we knelt in the grass. I licked my lips, my heart fluttering so quickly it felt as if I had a hummingbird inside my chest. Close your eyes, he said, and I obeyed, my fingers grappling onto the grass. The birds chattered and the willow branches sighed. The grass crunched as Tamlin rose up on his knees. I braced myself at the brush of his mouth on one of my eyelids, then on the other. He pulled away, and I was left breathless, the kisses still lingering on my skin. The singing of birds became an orchestra, a symphony of gossip and mirth. I'd never heard so many layers of music, never heard the variations and themes that wove between their arpeggios, and beyond the birdsong there was an ethereal melody, a woman, melancholy and weary. The willow. Gasping, I opened my eyes. The world had become richer, clearer. The brook was a near-invisible rainbow of water that flowed over stones as invitingly smooth as silk. The trees were clothed in a faint shimmer that radiated from their centers and danced along the edges of their leaves. There was no tangy metallic stench. No, the smell of magic had become like jasmine, like lilac, like roses. I would never be able to paint it, the richness, the feel, maybe fractions of it, but not the whole thing. Magic. Everything was magic, and it broke my heart. I looked to Tamlin, and my heart cracked entirely. It was Tamlin, but not. Rather, it was the Tamlin I'd dreamed of. His skin gleamed with a golden sheen, and around his head glowed a circlet of sunshine. And his eyes? Not merely green and gold, but every hue and variation that could be imagined, as though every leaf in the forest had bled into one shade. This was a High Lord of Prythian. Devastatingly handsome, captivating, powerful beyond belief. My breath caught in my throat as I touched the contours of his mask. The cool metal bit into my fingertips, and the emerald slipped against my calloused skin. I lifted my other hand and gently grasped either side of the mask. I pulled lightly. It wouldn't move. He began smiling as I pulled again, and I blinked, dropping my hands. Instantly, the golden, glowing Tamlin vanished, and the one I knew returned. I could still hear the singing of the willow and the birds, but... Why can't I see you anymore? Because I willed my glamour back into place. Glamour for what? To look normal. Or as normal as I can look with this damned thing, he added, gesturing to the mask. Being a High Lord, even one with limited powers, comes with physical markers, too. It's why I couldn't hide what I was becoming from my brothers, from anyone. It's still easier to blend in. But the mask truly can't come off? I mean, are you sure there's no one who knows how to fix what the magic did that night? Even someone in another court? I don't know why the mask bothered me so greatly. I didn't need to see his entire face to know him. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I just want to know what you look like. I wondered when I'd grown so shallow. What do you think I look like? I tilted my head to the side. A strong, straight nose, I said, drawing from what I'd once tried to paint. High cheekbones that bring out your eyes. Slightly arched brows, I finished, blushing. He was grinning so broadly that I could almost see all of his teeth, those fangs nowhere in sight. I tried to think up an excuse for my forwardness, but a yawn crept from me as a sudden weight pressed on my eyes. What about your part of the bargain? What? He leaned closer, his smile turning wicked. What about my kiss? I grabbed his fingers. Here, I said, and slammed my mouth against the back of his hand. There's your kiss. Tamlin roared with laughter, but the world blurred, lulling me to sleep. The willow beckoned me to lie down, and I obliged. From far off I heard Tamlin curse. Feyre. Sleep. I wanted sleep. And there was no better place to sleep than right here, listening to the willow and the birds and the brook. I curled on my side, using my arm for a pillow. I should bring you home, he murmured, but he didn't move to drag me to my feet. Instead, I felt a slight thud in the earth, and the spring rain and new grass scent of him cloyed in my nose as he lay beside me. I tingled with pleasure as he stroked my hair. This was such a lovely dream. I'd never slept so wonderfully before, so warm nestled beside him, calm. Faintly, echoing into my world of slumber, he spoke again, his breath caressing my ear. You're exactly as I dreamed you'd be, too. Darkness swallowed everything. Chapter 24. It wasn't the dawn that awoke me, but rather a buzzing noise. I groaned as I sat up in bed and squinted at the squat woman with skin made from tree bark who fussed with my breakfast dishes. Where's Alice? I asked, rubbing the sleep from my eyes. Tamlin must have carried me up here. Must have carried me the whole way home. What? She turned toward me. Her bird mask was familiar, but I would have remembered a fairy with skin like that. Would have painted it already. Is Alice unwell? I said, sliding from the bed. This was my room, wasn't it? A quick glance told me yes. Are you out of your right mind? The fairy said. I bit my lip. I am Alice, she clucked, and with a shake of her head, she strode into the bathing room to start my bath. It was impossible. The Alice I knew was fair and plump and looked like a high fae. I rubbed my eyes with my thumb and forefinger. A glamour. That's what Tamlin had said he wore. His fairy sight had stripped away the glamours I'd been seeing, but why bother to glamour everything? Because I'd been a cowering human, that's why. Because Tamlin knew I would have locked myself in this room and never come out if I'd seen them all for their true selves. Things only got worse when I made my way downstairs to find the High Lord. The hallways were bustling with masked fairies I'd never seen before. Some were tall and humanoid, high fae like Tamlin. Others were not fairies. I tried to avoid looking at those ones, as they seemed the most surprised to notice my attention. I was almost shaking by the time I reached the dining room. Lucian mercifully appeared like Lucian. I didn't ask whether that was because Tamlin had informed him to put up a better glamour, or because he didn't bother trying to be something he wasn't. Tamlin lounged in his usual chair, but straightened as I lingered in the doorway. "What's wrong?" "There are a lot of people, fairies, around. When did they arrive?" I'd almost yelped when I looked out my bedroom window and spotted all the fairies in the garden. Many of them, all with insect masks, pruned the hedges and tended the flowers. Those fairies had been the strangest of all, with their iridescent buzzing wings sprouting from their backs. And, of course, then there was the green and brown skin, and their unnaturally long limbs, and... Tamlin bit his lip as if to keep from smiling. "They've been here all along." But I didn't hear anything." "Of course you didn't," Lucian drawled, and twirled one of his daggers between his hands. "We made sure you couldn't see or hear anyone but those who were necessary." I adjusted the lapels of my tunic. "So you mean that when I ran after the puka that night—" "You had an audience," Lucian finished for me. I thought I'd been so stealthy. Meanwhile, I'd been tiptoeing past fairies who had probably laughed their heads off at the blind human following an illusion. Fighting against my rising mortification, I turned to Tamlin. His lips twitched, and he clamped them tightly together, but the amusement still danced in his eyes as he nodded. "It was a valiant effort." "But I could see the Naga, and the puka and the Suriel, and that fairy whose wings were ripped off," I said, wincing inwardly. "Why didn't the glamour apply to them?" His eyes darkened. "They're not members of my court," Tamlin said, "so my glamour didn't keep a hold on them. The puka belongs to the wind and weather and everything that changes. And the Naga, they belong to someone else." "I see," I lied, not quite seeing at all. Lucian chuckled, sensing it, and I glared sidelong at him. "You've been noticeably absent again." He used the dagger to clean his nails. "I've been busy. So have you, I take it." "What's that supposed to mean?" I demanded. "If I offer you the moon on a string, will you give me a kiss, too?" "Don't be an ass," Tamlin said to him with a soft snarl, but Lucian continued laughing, and was still laughing when he left the room. Alone with Tamlin, I shifted on my feet. "So if I were to encounter the Atter again," I said, mostly to avoid the heavy silence, "would I actually see it?" "Yes, and it wouldn't be pleasant." "You said it didn't see me that time, and it certainly doesn't seem like a member of your court," I ventured. "Why?" "Because I threw a glamour over you when we entered the garden," he said simply. "The Atter couldn't see, hear, or smell you." His gaze went to the window beyond me, and he ran a hand through his hair.
I've done all I can to keep you invisible to creatures like the Atter, and worse. The Blight is acting up again, and more of these creatures are being freed from their tethers.
My stomach turned over.
If you spot one, Tamlin continued, even if it looks harmless but makes you feel uncomfortable, pretend you don't see it. Don't talk to it. If it hurts you, the results wouldn't be pleasant for it or for me. You remember what happened with the Naga.
This was for my own safety, not his amusement. He didn't want me hurt. He didn't want to punish them for hurting me, even if the Naga hadn't been part of his court. Had it hurt him to kill them? Realizing he waited for my answer, I nodded. The Blight is growing again?
So far, only in the other territories. You're safe here.
It's not my safety I'm worried about. Tamlin's eyes softened, but his lips became a thin line as he said,
It'll be fine.
Is it possible that the surge will be temporary? A fool's hope. Tamlin didn't reply, which was answer enough. If the Blight was becoming active again, I didn't bother to offer my aid. I already knew he wouldn't allow me to help with whatever this conflict was. But I thought of that painting I'd given him, about what he'd said about it, and wished he would let me in anyway. The next morning, I found a head in the garden. A bleeding male high fae head, spiked atop a fountain statue of a great heron flapping its wings. The stone was soaked in enough blood to suggest that the head had been fresh when someone had impaled it on the heron's upraised bill. I had been hauling my paints and easel out to the garden to paint one of the beds of irises when I stumbled across it. My tins and brushes had clattered to the gravel. I didn't know where I was as I stared at that still screaming head, the brown eyes bulging, the teeth broken and bloody. No mask, so he wasn't a part of the spring court. Anything else about him I couldn't discern. His blood was so bright on the gray stone, his mouth open so vulgarly. I backed away a step and slammed into something warm and hard. I whirled, hands rising out of instinct, but Tamlin's voice said,
It's me.
And I stopped cold. Lucian stood beside him, pale and grim.
Not Autumn Court, Lucian said. I don't recognize him at all.
Tamlin's hands clamped on my shoulders as I turned back toward the head.
Neither do I.
A soft, vicious growl laced his words, but no claws pricked my skin as he kept gripping me. His hands tightened, though, while Lucian stepped into the small pool in which the statue stood, striding through the red water until he peered up at the anguished face.
They branded him behind the ear with a sigil, Lucian said, swearing. A mountain with 3 stars. Night Court, Tamlin said too quietly.
The Night Court, the northernmost bit of Prythian, if I recalled the mural's map correctly. A land of darkness and starlight. Why would they do this? I breathed. Tamlin let go, coming to stand at my side as Lucian climbed the statue to remove the head. I looked toward a blossoming crabapple tree instead.
The Night Court does what it wants,
Tamlin said.
They live by their own codes, their own corrupt morals. They're all sadistic killers, Lucian said.
I dared a glance at him. He was now perched on the heron's stone wing. I looked away again.
They delight in torture of every kind, and would find this sort of stunt to be amusing.
Amusing, but not a message? I scanned the garden.
"Oh, it's a message," Lucian said, and I cringed at the thick, wet sounds of flesh and bone on stone as he yanked the head off. I'd skinned enough animals, but this... Tamlin put another hand on my shoulder. "To get in and out of our defenses, to possibly commit the crime nearby with the blood this fresh..." A splash as Lucian landed in the water again. "It's exactly what the High Lord of the Night Court would find amusing, the bastard."
I gauged the distance between the pool and the house. 60, maybe 70 feet. That's how close they'd come to us. Tamlin brushed a thumb against my shoulder.
"You're still safe here. This was just their idea of a prank."
"This isn't connected to the Blight?" I asked.
"Only in that they know the Blight is again awakening, and want us to know they're circling the spring court like vultures should our wards fall further."
I must have looked as sick as I felt, because Tamlin added,
"I won't let that happen."
I didn't have the heart to say that their masks made it fairly clear that nothing could be done against the Blight. Lucian splashed out of the fountain, but I couldn't look at him, not with the head he bore, the blood surely on his hands and clothes.
"They'll get what's coming to them soon enough. Hopefully the Blight will wreck them too."
Tamlin growled at Lucian to take care of the head, and the gravel crunched as Lucian departed. I crouched to pick up my paints and brushes, my hands shaking as I fumbled for a large brush. Tamlin knelt next to me, but his hands closed around mine, squeezing.
"You're still safe,"
he said again. The Suriel's command echoed through my mind. "Stay with the High Lord, human. You will be safe." I nodded.
"It's court posturing," he said. "The Night Court is deadly, but this was only their lord's idea of a joke. Attacking anyone here, attacking you, would cause more trouble than it's worth for him. If the Blight truly does harm these lands, and the Night Court enters our borders, we'll be ready."
My knees shook as I rose. Fairy politics, fairy courts. Their idea of jokes must have been even more horrible when we were enslaved to you all. They must have tortured us whenever they liked. Must have done such unspeakable, awful things to their human pets. A shadow flickered in his eyes.
"Some days, I'm very glad I was still a child when my father sent his slaves south of the wall. What I witnessed then was bad enough."
I didn't want to imagine. Even now, I still hadn't looked to see if any hints of those long-ago humans had been left behind. I did not think 5 centuries would be enough to cleanse the stains of the horrors that my people had endured. I should have let it go. Should have, but couldn't. "Do you remember if they were happy to leave?" Tamlin shrugged.
"Yes. Yet they had never known freedom or known the seasons as you do. They didn't know what to do in the mortal world. But yes, most of them were very, very happy to leave."
Each word was more ground out than the next.
"I was happy to see them go, even if my father wasn't."
Despite the stillness with which he stood, his claws poked out from above his knuckles. No wonder he'd been so awkward with me, had no idea what to do with me when I'd first arrived. But I said quietly, "You're not your father, Tamlin, or your brothers." He glanced away, and I added, "You never made me feel like a prisoner. Never made me feel like little more than chattel." The shadows that flickered in his eyes as he nodded his thanks told me there was more, still more that he had yet to tell me about his family, his life before they'd been killed, and this title had been thrust upon him. I wouldn't ask. not with the blight pressing down on him, not until he was ready. He'd given me space and respect. I could offer him no less. Still, I couldn't bring myself to paint that day.
All right. Well, that was chapters 23 and 24 of A Court of Thorns and Roses. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode as well as the thread. Man, oh man. Oh man. Oh man. When is Feyre and Tamlin going fuck? It's going to happen soon, I'm sure. But I love you guys. You Patreon people, I'll see you tomorrow. And everybody else, I'll see you on Sunday. So if you guys don't remember or you haven't listened to previous episodes, I will be doing Sunday episodes every other Sunday. So that's how we're going to be doing Sunday episodes from here on out. And then if you guys want to catch up on A Court of Thorns and Roses, we have Spotify as well as YouTube playlists down there to get caught up on all of that. And I will see you guys later. Love you all and peace.